America once created the most unusual truck in history. A mechanical marvel with 300 horsepower, 10 massive wheels, and nearly 15 tons of raw industrial might. This engineering anomaly could conquer terrain that left other trucks stranded, yet it vanished from history almost without a trace. Today, we're uncovering the extraordinary story of America's most unusual truck, the Corbitt D600. While Ford and Mack trucks became famous, this powerful truck built in North Carolina stayed unknown, even though it was better than other trucks. The secret of the Corbitt D600 has been hiding in plain sight for decades. Watch until the end, because we found out why this truck disappeared. And if you love learning about forgotten American machines, hit that subscribe button now. This truck story has more surprises than you might think. A few people remember the Corbitt Motor Company, but this small North Carolina business once stood tall against the biggest names in trucking. Founded in 1899 by Richard Corbitt in Henderson, North Carolina, the company started with horse-drawn wagons before moving to gasoline-powered vehicles. By the 1930s, Corbitt had found its true calling. They made trucks that could handle the toughest jobs in America. While larger companies focused on making more trucks faster, Corbitt took a different path. They built each truck with great care, using better materials and spending more time putting them together. The workers at Corbitt weren't just building trucks. They were creating machines to tackle America's hardest challenges. Logging companies needed vehicles to haul massive trees down steep mountain roads. The military needed trucks that wouldn't break down in combat. Construction crews needed reliable power for the biggest projects. Corbitt built trucks for all of these demands. What made Corbitt special was how carefully they worked. Every part was checked many times. Many parts were made right in their own factory instead of bought from others. Workers took pride in building trucks that would last for decades, not just years. In the 1950s, while other companies played it safe, Corbitt took risks. Their engineers tried new ideas that other manufacturers thought were too costly or complex. This approach led to both failures and breakthroughs. Eventually, it led to their greatest achievement, the D600. The D600 wasn't just another heavy truck. It represented everything Corbitt had learned over decades of building tough trucks. Every problem they had solved, every improvement they had made, it all came together in this one remarkable machine. People who drove the D600 spoke about it with amazement. Loggers said it could pull loads up hills that stopped other trucks. Military drivers praised how it kept running in terrible conditions. Construction workers valued how it survived punishment day after day on difficult job sites. Yet despite being possibly the most capable truck America ever made, the D600 has nearly disappeared from history. You won't find it featured in truck museums. There are no clubs dedicated to preserving it. Most books about American trucks barely mention it. It's as if someone wanted us to forget that this truck ever even existed. The story of Corbitt is interesting, but now let's talk about what made this truck so amazing. And if you're enjoying this forgotten part of American truck history, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this. So, what made the D600 so special? Let's look at what was under the hood of this amazing truck and why it was years ahead of other trucks. At its heart was a huge 14-liter engine with over 300 horsepower. This was amazing for the 1950s, when most trucks only had about 150 horsepower. But it wasn't just strong. This engine was built to run for thousands of miles without breaking down. Corbitt used harder steel for important engine parts that usually wear out. They made a better cooling system that kept the engine from getting too hot, even when pulling heavy loads up steep hills for hours. The oil cleaning system was better than any truck had, keeping the engine clean inside, even on dusty roads. This was perfect for drivers who needed their trucks working all the time. The fuel system was also very special. While other trucks had problems with poor fuel, the D600 could run on almost any kind of diesel. Now, this was very helpful in faraway places where clean fuel wasn't easy to find. Some drivers said the D600 could even run on low-grade heating oil in emergencies, something that would ruin most other engines. The frame of the truck was also very strong. Corbitt built it with extra supports for strength, but smart weight placement meant that it wasn't much heavier than weaker trucks. The frame had a special coating that stopped rust even after years in bad weather or on salty roads. When other trucks would crack or bend, the D600 stayed strong. The suspension system is what really made the D600 different. While other trucks bounced and shook on rough roads, the D600 rode smoothly and stayed stable. Corbitt's engineers used special springs along with shock absorbers like those used in fancy cars. They added extra bars to keep the truck steady with tall loads. The result was a truck that could stay in control at speeds and on rough ground that would force other trucks to go very slowly. Drivers who tried this truck once often wouldn't drive anything else afterward. The brakes were much better too. When most trucks had simple brakes that would fail after heavy use, the D600 had air-help brakes with special cooling channels. Now these brakes kept working well even when going down long mountain roads with heavy loads, which is exactly the kind of situation that caused many crashes with other trucks. Drivers on dangerous routes really valued this feature, saying it saved their lives more than once. The D600 was also very easy to change for different jobs. The whole back section could be swapped out in just a few hours, turning from a flatbed to a dump truck to a military transport. Corbitt made more than 50 different setups. Each one was carefully designed for specific jobs while keeping the truck's famous strength. Logging companies loved the timber-carrying versions for mountain work. Military units used the stronger personnel carrier versions for missions where failure wasn't an option. This flexibility made the D600 useful across many industries. Even the driver's cab showed that Corbitt was thinking differently. When most truck makers didn't care about driver comfort, the D600 had better seats with real padding, bigger windows for better visibility, and even some soundproofing to make the engine quieter. Now these might seem like small things today, but in the 1950s, they were new ideas. Drivers could work longer without getting as tired, making the truck even more useful. What makes all these engineering achievements even more impressive is that they came from a small team working in North Carolina, not a huge company with unlimited money. The D600 showed that American creativity could make amazing machines that changed what people thought was possible. Now these truck features are amazing, but the real story behind this truck is even more interesting. If you're enjoying learning about this forgotten American legend, hit that like button. It helps others find this amazing story. Also, share in the comments if you've ever heard of Corbitt trucks. So here's the strange thing. Even though the D600 was an absolute beast of a machine, it never got famous like other trucks from that era. It's weird, right? This incredible vehicle shows up, proves it can outwork everything else on the road, and then, poof, gone. Almost overnight. You've got to wonder, why would a truck this capable just vanish from history? Now the answer lies in three main problems: high costs, tough competition, and something much more interesting: secret government work. First, there was the issue of money. The D600 was expensive to make, too expensive for most truck buyers. While other companies cut corners to lower prices, Corbitt refused to make a cheaper, lower quality truck. Every part was built to the highest standards, from the engine block to the smallest bolt. This made an amazing truck, but also one that many couldn't afford. Then there was the competition. The 1950s truck market was dominated by giants like Ford and General Motors. Now these big companies could make thousands of trucks quickly and spend huge amounts on advertising. Corbitt, being much smaller, simply couldn't keep up. Yeah, they were making better trucks, but they couldn't tell enough people about them. But here's where the story gets really interesting. For years, people have whispered about the D600's secret military use. Some believe the truck was so advanced that the government wanted it all to themselves, leading to deals that kept it out of the public eye. Others believe the D600 got pulled into hush-hush military operations, particularly when fighting broke out in Korea. Think about it. A truck that could haul incredibly heavy equipment through terrain that would stop other vehicles cold? Now that's exactly what you'd want for missions nobody was supposed to know about. To this day, those operations remain under lock and key in classified files. Some truck historians even think the government deliberately kept information about the D600's secret to prevent its advanced technology from falling into hands of Cold War enemies. The truck's disappearance wasn't just a business failure, it was a planned secret. Recently, a few retired military personnel have shared stories about using specially modified D600 trucks for operations that never appeared in official records. They describe vehicles with extra armor, special communications equipment, and even mounting points for weapons that weren't available on civilian models. Documents that have been recently released show unusual government purchases from Corbitt during critical periods of the Cold War. Now, these records don't specifically mention the D600 model, but the timing and numbers match what we know about the truck's sudden disappearance from public markets. Perhaps most telling is the strange way information about the D600 seems to have been removed from normal historical records. While other Corbitt models appear in industry publications and truck collector guides, the D600 is often completely missing or mentioned only briefly. Now, this kind of selective erasure rarely happens by accident. Whatever the full truth may be, though, it's clear that the story of the Corbitt D600 goes far beyond normal business challenges. This wasn't just another truck that failed in the marketplace. It was something special that someone wanted to keep secret. The amazing truck design and strange disappearance are interesting, no doubt. But wait until you hear how this truck changed American towns and workers. Do you think the government should declassify more secret files about trucks like the D600? Let us know what you think in the comments, and hit that subscribe button for more hidden truck stories. The Corbitt D600 wasn't just a great truck. It changed the economy around it in ways that few people understand today. Its influence went far beyond moving things from place to place. In Henderson, North Carolina, the Corbitt factory was at the heart of the local economy. Hundreds of skilled workers earned good money building these amazing machines. These were some of the best jobs around in those days. The average Corbitt worker made about 20% more money than workers at similar factories nearby. This extra money flowed through the entire town. Local stores, restaurants, and services all did better because these workers had more money to spend. The company didn't just provide jobs, it created careers. Corbitt spent a lot of money teaching people special skills that were in high demand. Young people just out of high school could join the company and learn to be mechanics, engineers, welders, and metal workers. These weren't just factory jobs. They were ways for hundreds of families to move up into the middle class. These skills stayed in the community long after the company was gone, allowing former workers to find good jobs or start their own businesses. The D600 needed parts from many smaller businesses. This created many jobs for other companies too. Local metal shops made custom pieces for the trucks, giving work to dozens of skilled craftsmen. Cloth companies in the Carolina region made the materials for the inside of the cabs, and glass makers provided specially designed windshields and windows. Wiring experts created the advanced electrical systems. Paint suppliers developed special coatings that could last in tough conditions. Now, all of these businesses grew alongside Corbitt. When someone ordered a fleet of D600 trucks, it meant months of steady work, not just for Corbitt, but for all these supporting companies. Each D600 wasn't just a truck. It supported an entire network of businesses that helped whole communities do well. Experts think that nearly 3 more jobs were created in these supporting industries for every job at Corbitt. The result of the D600 went even beyond making things. Banks in the region created special loans for companies wanting to buy these expensive trucks. Insurance companies made new policies designed just for the unique abilities of the D600. Even local community colleges changed their training programs to make sure students had the skills needed to work on these advanced trucks. The power of the D600 allowed many industries to grow in new ways. Before this truck, some places were simply too hard to reach to make money there. Logging companies could now go deeper into mountain forests that were previously out of reach. This opened up new timber and created jobs in remote areas. Construction companies could take on projects in places that were too hard to get to before, bringing development to new regions. Mining operations could move heavier loads more efficiently, increasing their output and profits. In the Appalachian Mountains, the D600 changed how resources like coal and timber were taken out. Mines that were previously too far away to make money could now connect to markets. Small towns that had been shrinking found new life as transportation hubs. The truck didn't just serve these industries. It completely changed what they thought was possible and reshaped how regions developed. For the drivers, the D600 created a new type of trucking job. Driving this truck wasn't like driving other vehicles. It required special skills and knowledge. Drivers had to understand the advanced systems and how to handle the tremendous power. These skills earned them more respect and higher pay. Records show that D600 drivers often made 30 to 40% more money than drivers of standard trucks. These weren't just jobs. They were respected positions that attracted the best talent. Drivers who mastered the D600 were in high demand. Companies competed to hire them, offering better benefits and working conditions. Their special knowledge meant better lives for their families, with more stable incomes and chances to move up. Some even used what they learned to start their own trucking companies, creating even more jobs in their communities. The effects spread beyond the direct users in surprising ways. As D600 trucks began carrying heavier loads on roads that weren't built for such weights, roads and bridges had to change. They had to be made stronger to handle what the D600 could carry. This led to big public spending on transportation, creating construction jobs, and improving roads for everyone who used them. Service stations had to change as well. The standard equipment couldn't handle the size and complexity of the D600. Mechanics needed special training and tools. Now, this pushed the entire service industry to upgrade, improving capabilities that helped all truck owners. Even competing truck makers had to improve their vehicles to keep up with the new standards set by Corbitt. New ideas spread throughout the industry as others tried to match what the D600 could do. The D600's influence extended to rules and standards as well. Safety codes and weight limits had to be reconsidered. Industry groups developed new best practices based on what the D600 made possible. The truck essentially reset expectations for what commercial vehicles could accomplish. forcing everyone, from government agencies to industry groups, to think differently about transportation. Perhaps most importantly, the D600 showed that American manufacturing could still create amazing new things at a time when this was increasingly in doubt. In the 1950s, the first signs of foreign competition were appearing in many industries. There was growing worry about America's ability to keep its manufacturing leadership. The D600 stood as powerful proof that American creativity was still alive and well. A small company from North Carolina had created solutions that nobody else had thought of, making better vehicles than much larger corporations. This success inspired other American businesses throughout the region to try new ideas rather than just cutting costs. The D600 became a symbol of what American manufacturing could achieve when it focused on quality and innovation, rather than just making things faster. When the D600 mysteriously disappeared from the market, its economic impact didn't just stop. The skills remained in the workforce. The improved roads and bridges benefited all vehicles for decades. The higher standards permanently changed what customers expected from truck manufacturers. The technical innovations spread to other vehicles and industries. Now, in this way, the economic legacy of the D600 lived long after the truck itself was gone. Even today, some of the manufacturing techniques pioneered by Corbitt are still used in modern vehicle production. The communities that were part of the D600 story still benefit from the foundation of skills and infrastructure that it helped create. Few vehicles have ever had such a lasting economic impact while remaining so unknown to most people. The way the D600 changed towns and jobs was huge, but wait until you hear how this forgotten truck shaped the trucks we drive today. Do you know anyone who loves trucks and hidden history? Well, click that subscribe button and share this video with them. Today, more than 70 years later, the Corbitt D600 exists mostly as a legend. Very few of these trucks are still around. The few that remain are treasured by collectors who know their true worth. But the truck's influence goes far beyond these rare survivors. Many of the ideas first used in the D600 can be seen in modern trucks. Its focus on lasting a long time, being able to change for different jobs, and going over all types of ground set standards that truck makers still try to meet today. The advanced way it handled bumpy roads was decades ahead of its time and helped shape how engineers design trucks even now. When you look at today's heavy-duty trucks, you can see the D600's influence everywhere. The way modern engines are built to last hundreds of thousands of miles without major repairs, the D600 did that first. The focus on making drivers comfortable that we now expect, the D600 was doing that when other trucks still didn't care about driver comfort. The D600 also left a lasting mark on the people of North Carolina, where Corbitt was based. For the people who worked there, the company showed what American workers could do at their best. It proved that a small team of hard-working engineers could create trucks that could compete with anything the big companies made. This pride in local manufacturing has inspired many Southern engineers and craftsmen since then. Even the military connection lives on, though mostly in stories told quietly among veterans. Soldiers from certain units occasionally share tales about that amazing North Carolina truck that could go places no other vehicle could reach. Military vehicle collectors have long searched for any D600 models that might have been changed for government use, seeing them as the ultimate find in military vehicle collecting. Recently, some modern military transport vehicles have shown design elements very similar to the D600's approach. Now, this has led some experts to wonder if those old drawings were kept in Pentagon files all these years, occasionally looked at when new challenges required some fresh thinking. A defense worker who didn't want to be named stated, "There are design similarities that are hard to explain as just chance. Certain parts of the suspension system and how weight is spread out in some modern military vehicles look like the D600 in ways that suggest direct copying rather than separate development." Perhaps most importantly, the story of the D600 reminds us that the best ideas don't always become the most successful products. Sometimes, the most advanced products are too expensive, too specialized, or simply ahead of their time to sell widely. Or, as some believe about the D600, sometimes amazing machines disappear because they're too valuable to be shared with the world. For those who study the history of American manufacturing, the D600 represents both a great success and a sad failure. It shows the incredible new ideas that small American companies were capable of in the mid-20th century. But it also highlights how hard it was for these smaller manufacturers to survive in a market increasingly ruled by large corporations. The few people who have had the chance to see a fixed-up D600 in action say that even by today's standards, it's an impressive machine. At old truck shows, the rare appearance of a D600 always draws crowds. People who know trucks well stand amazed at what Corbitt achieved with the technology available in the 1950s. In the end, The real legacy of the Corbitt D600 may be the questions it leaves us with. How many other incredible new ideas have been lost to history? What might American manufacturing have become if companies like Corbitt had found a way to survive and grow? And perhaps most interestingly, are there other extraordinary vehicles out there, hidden away in government storage, that we still don't know anything about? As interest in old trucks continues to grow, the search for surviving D600s has increased. Stories occasionally appear about finds in old barns or military surplus sales, where these legendary machines might show up. Each year, more people learn about the legend of the Corbitt D600, ensuring that even if the trucks themselves are nearly gone, their story will continue to inspire new generations of engineers, designers, and truck enthusiasts. For a truck that supposedly disappeared from history, the D600 has left a deep mark on American automotive design, manufacturing, and culture. Its legacy lives on in both the machines we build today and in the lasting American belief that with enough cleverness and good work, we can create something truly amazing. Now, the Corbitt D600 isn't just a truck story. It's a tale of American creativity, military secrets, and a truck so amazing it somehow vanished from history. While most of what happened to it stays locked in secret government files, its ideas live on in the trucks that we see on roads today. So the next time you see a powerful truck climbing up a steep hill or carrying a massive load, think about the forgotten truck that helped make it all possible. The Corbitt D600 is truly America's most unusual truck. If you've enjoyed learning about this hidden piece of American history, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more forgotten stories of amazing machines. Have you ever heard of the Corbitt D600 before? Or maybe someone in your family worked with these incredible trucks. Share your stories in the comments below. Until next time, remember that sometimes the most impressive achievements in history are the ones kept hidden from view.